You know, some parts of the Bible can feel like a familiar, gentle stream. But if you look just beneath the surface, there's this powerful current, a quiet, muscular theology that can totally reshape how we understand our faith. Today, we're going to dive into Romans chapter 1 to uncover the incredible truths hidden right there in plain sight.
Now, at first glance, this might just look like the Apostle Paul's introduction to the church in Rome, a simple hello. But inside these few verses, Paul lays a foundation that is just immensely strong. So let's unpack this together. We're going to dig into the deep theological truths packed into these words, truths about faith, God's strategy, and the very heart of the gospel.
Okay, so the very first thing that just jumps out is this two-part truth that basically holds everything else up, that the entire Christian life is centered on Jesus Christ, and that God's plan is always strategic.
So what's the first thing Paul celebrates about the Roman believers? It's not their money, it's not their social status in the most important city in the world, or even how great their spiritual gifts are. The very first thing he thanks God for is their faith. And that right there tells you something huge about what God actually sees and values in his people. And get this, the wording here is so specific. Paul thanks his God through Jesus Christ. Even his thankfulness is filtered through Christ. He's not seeing their world-famous faith as something they accomplished. No, he sees it for what it truly is, a direct work of Jesus himself in them.
And this brings us to an absolutely foundational truth. What God prizes most in his church is what Christ himself has created in his people. Their faith, the way they endure, their very connection to the gospel. All of it, every single praiseworthy thing, is the result of Christ's grace working in them. That, right there, is the bedrock.
Okay, so you see how it's all about Christ, right? Well, watch how that same idea plays out in God's bigger plan. Their faith was famous around the world, and that was no accident. The second big idea here is that where God placed these believers, it was totally strategic.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Rome, it was the center of the known world, the beating heart of the empire. If the gospel could take root and thrive there, its echo would be heard absolutely everywhere. God put this church right in the heart of it all and basically turned their faith into this giant spiritual megaphone to broadcast his glory to the world.
All right, so we've seen God's big picture strategy. Now let's zoom in on the man himself, the Apostle Paul. What fueled his incredible ministry wasn't personal ambition. It was three things: constant prayer, a deep humility, and this amazing sense of joyful duty.
You see, for Paul, ministry didn't start when he hit the road. It started way before that, on his knees. He talks about a prayer life that is nonstop. It's specific, and it's completely focused on the mission. He's not just sending them good vibes, he is actively in there, fighting in prayer, asking God to open a door for ministry.
And this shows us a crucial principle for any kind of mission, really. It doesn't start with a sermon, it starts with prayer. Before anything happens out there in the world, it's first forged in the quiet place, in the heart, through prayer that just doesn't give up, prayer that wants to line up with God's will.
And then you see something that's, well, it's just stunning. Paul, an apostle chosen by Jesus Christ himself, shows this incredible humility. He says he wants to come and give them a spiritual gift, but then he immediately turns it around and says, hey, this isn't a one-way street.
This is such a powerful statement. Paul doesn't see himself as some spiritual superstar, dropping blessings from above. Nope, he sees himself as a brother, sitting right alongside them who needs their faith just as much as they might need his. This is huge. It means no one, not even an apostle, is ever too mature or too spiritual to outgrow the need for encouragement from other believers. We all need each other.
Okay, now we get to this powerful kind of counterintuitive idea. Paul says he is under obligation. But when he says that, he's not talking about being weighed down by guilt or pressure. Not at all. This is an obligation that's born from the overwhelming, ridiculous generosity of God's grace.
So how does this engine of mission actually work? Let's break it down. It all starts with grace received. But that grace doesn't lead to him kicking his feet up. No, it makes him feel a sense of stewardship. He's been trusted with this incredible message for other people. That stewardship then creates a divine drive inside of him. And that drive leads to an unstoppable mission. So here's the bottom line. Grace doesn't make you lazy. It makes you an unstoppable force for the gospel.
So we've looked at the messenger's heart. Now let's look at the message itself. Paul shows us a gospel that just smashes every human barrier to pieces and fills him with this relentless, passionate eagerness. And here, Paul tackles one of the most important questions for the church. In any time, in any place, who is this message for? Who does he feel this divine obligation toward?
And his answer is just breathtaking. It's huge. Back then, Greeks meant the sophisticated, the cultured, the educated. Barbarians was, well, pretty much everyone else. And the wise and the foolish, that covers the entire intellectual map. What Paul is saying here is absolutely radical. This is the gospel. It doesn't have a preferred demographic. It doesn't play favorites. It dismantles every single barrier we love to put up, social, cultural, intellectual, ethnic. Paul is saying, I owe this message to literally every single person on the planet, no exceptions.
And that brings us to this final really mind-blowing point in the passage. Because after he establishes all this, Paul says something that at first might make you scratch your head.
Wait, what? He wants to preach the gospel to believers? To the people in Rome whose faith is already famous everywhere? Why would he do that? The answer tells us something absolutely central about what the gospel really is.
And this is it. This is the heart of the matter. The reason Paul is so eager to preach to Christians is found in the very nature of the gospel itself.
And here's the profound truth. The gospel isn't just Christianity 101. It's not the beginner's class you graduate from. It's not just the door you walk through to get saved. It is the entire house you live in. It's the floor, the walls, the roof. It's the very air you breathe every single day of your life.
Paul wasn't getting ready to go to Rome to give them 5 tips for better living or some cultural commentary. He was eager to preach the gospel because he was eager to give them more of Jesus. Because you see, Jesus is the gospel.
And that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? This is that powerful muscular theology that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Our faith is his work. God's mission is his strategy. Our service flows from his grace. And our deepest need, whether we're a brand new Christian or a seasoned apostle, is always more of the gospel. Because our deepest need is always more of him.